Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon. Welcome back to another advanced guide. Today's focus is the Sage, one of the hardest roles to learn and master in PvP. With both practice and experience, you can single-handedly become a force of nature that shuts down entire enemy teams, while simultaneously setting up powerful counterplays. I shall cover your actions and combos, strengths and weaknesses, including diving into some scenarios. If you find today's guide helpful, consider dropping a like and comment down below how the Sage is working out for you. And without further ado, let's begin. Let us begin with one of your most important skills, Cardia. This can be cast upon yourself and allies. No matter the target, you yourself obtain the effect Cardia, and the selected target is granted Cardian. Cardian allows for the beneficial effects of doses free, and Eucrasian doses free. Cardia can be applied from 30 yards away, and will remain upon the target until replaced. Onto mobility, the Sage comes equipped with Icarus, a 25-yard dash to either your target or an ally, in which you can hold 2 charges, allowing for aggressive dives, while maintaining the ability to jump back out. This will be your number one means to jump in with a Dark Knight using Salted Earth, in order to follow up with instant AoE damage. Next we have Eucrasia. Again, you can hold up to 2 charges, and this is what upgrades your base doses free into Eucrasian doses free. Doses free is your most basic attack, with a range of 25 yards. A simple, single target 6,000 damage. Doses free also heals players under the effect of Cardian for 4,000. Now using Eucrasia beforehand, upgrades doses free into Eucrasian doses free, turning into a 3,000 per tick damage over time for the next 12 seconds. Your Cardian target will also receive an 8,000 barrier. This barrier is wonderful for playing alongside friends, and to support tank and melee, who right now have a much harder time. When playing solo and your team is rather lacking, I will often use Cardia on myself to reap the benefits. This same barrier applies into your next ability, Toxicon, your basic AoE with a range of 25 yards that has a 5-yard spread, dealing 2,000 to all targets struck, and more importantly, increases those targets' damage taken by 10% for the next 6 seconds, which can be brutal in the current range meta. Now, should that 8,000 barrier break, granted by the effect of Eucrasian doses free, whether this is on yourself or an ally, Toxicon upgrades to Toxicon 2, the same 25-yard range with a 5-yard spread, only this time dealing 8,000 to your first target and 4,000 for everyone else. This also increases damage taken by 10% for the next 6 seconds. Using both back-to-back can lead to a solid 12 seconds of bonus damage, and can really begin to eat away at large groups. Next we have Phlegma Free. Toxicons are your safer, cast from range AoEs. Phlegma on the other hand is your risk reward, dealing 8,000 to all targets struck. All struck will also be bound, with a second bonus effect, drawing nearby enemies towards the first target you cast upon. A beautiful follow-up to a Dark Knight Salted Earth. Your downside is this action only has a 5-yard range, the same as most melee rolls. Your safest bet is to dash in fast with Icarus, cast Phlegma Free, and Icarus back out to a teammate. Phlegma will then upgrade into Psyche. This follow-up has a 25-yard reach, dealing a very nice 12,000 to all targets. This damage is however halved for targets more than 3 yards away from the first target, with the attack having a 5-yard spread. Your last main attack is Pneuma. This comes with a 1.4 seconds cast time, which also has a 25-yard range and reach, dealing 12,000 damage to all within a straight line. You and all allies within a 20-yard radius will be granted Heimer and 3 stacks of Hymation. Heimer gives players a 4,000 barrier. Once a barrier is broken, a stack of Hymation is consumed and a new barrier is applied. When the effect duration ends, players receive a 4,000 heal. Pneuma is one of the strongest counterplay actions out there. Whether you are full sending with your team, or the enemy full charges towards your allies, Pneuma gives your team a huge advantage, and battles that look hopeless can flip in your favor. Now for your limit break, we have Mesotes. One of the best limit breaks going in the current range meta. Mesotes summons a ring which can be manually placed, or through the means of macros, cast upon allies or your own location. Here is how it works. For the next 15 seconds, you and allies within inside the ring are immune to all damage from players outside the ring, which is why it is so powerful during the range meta. This limit break can be cast a second time in order to reposition it. This does not, however, reset the timer. If you had 7 seconds remaining, you will still only have 7 seconds left once you move the limit break. For enemies to hurt you, they must first step within inside the ring. Their payoff is that they take tick damage, dealing 8,000 per tick. This limit break is still susceptible to knockback and the Dark Knight Rush, as players will jump in with no hesitation. You can also tank the strongest limit breaks. A samurai casting Zantetsuken upon you from outside the ring, regardless of whether or not you had Kazuchi, still means you take 0 damage. Just be ready. If they step inside when casting the limit break, their one-shot limit break conditions are met once again. The main combo I like to use in big fights is to Eucrasia into Eucrasian Dosis Free to obtain the barrier that can upgrade Toxicon. If your team is pushing, you often have enough time to land Toxicon for the power boost, followed into your Pneuma. Then should your barrier break, follow up with Toxicon 2. At any opportunity, you have the combo ability to Icarus dive targets. If you have the chance to Toxicon first, do so, which then boosts your Phlegma free, leaving Psyche for the follow-up. If you're looking for some nice AoE burst, Toxicon into Pneuma, Icarus dive Phlegma into Psyche, throwing out Toxicon 2 should it be ready. Most combos will be based on your situation, and by how often you keep Eucrasian doses up to proc Toxicon 2. Next, let's jump into some clips, showcasing the power of your limit break. This first scenario demonstrates the most basic of plays you can make with your limit break. We have just pushed the yellows back, and now blue want their turn. I hang forward looking for my opening, which I find in the moment my team mark their bard. I use Icarus to instantly close the gap. Then using my target self macro, I can drop Masotes at my feet. Their samurai is a little too close for my liking, as I have Kazuchi, so I back up slightly to reposition. This allows us to hold the corner, while blue could simply do nothing. Next, a defensive play using a tight choke point. I am seeing both warriors and monks, and most importantly, their dancer. Right as they dive in, I drop the limit break at my feet, giving my team a firm foothold, which will protect us should their dancer seduce us. With their team now divided, they cannot commit and slowly fall back, again using Icarus Dash to move and reposition, essentially taking space by holding space. I do not go in any deeper, as this was not a fight that we could win. Instead, just hold, play off the third party and build some battle highs. Next, a big chokehold on the land bridge north on Seal Rock. I dive in, placing the limit break on our side of the Tomolith. Why? This is because if they want to stop us and achieve anything, the enemy team must come to us. And very quickly, you can see the fight turning in our favor. So I move up past the Tomolith, allowing us to have a bit more range, and able to take fights on those coming up the ramp. What is beautiful is the sheer amount of damage heading our way, and yet my team holds strong, taking no damage with full recuperates. That is the second huge benefit to this limit break. Like as you're seeing right now, we have such a huge advantage. Even after my limit break expires, they have burned through most of their burst damage, and they have much less healing on hand to work with compared to us. With my team firmly grouped up and not giving any space, means we could have chased if we wanted to. We only dip as blue come in with their flank. Here is another example, using the limit break on chokes in the mid, only this time used aggressively rather than defensively. Right now I'm looking to push yellows out, so we can then deal with blue, waiting for my perfect moment when they retreat. As they fall into the choke, now is my time to make my move. Diving in, I place the first limit break close but still at range. That gives me space to move up further, or to fall back should I need to. In this case, it was to give chase, and with only a few of us we pushed the yellows out, which then allowed us to turn our attention back to blue. Here is a play showcasing a limit break that fails, but at the same time kind of succeeds. I went to take an aggressive push against the yellows. The only struggle is my team had no interest in anything other than the ice, and red decided to push us, rather than third party the yellows who were distracted. That being said, I still held the yellows' attention for almost a solid 20 seconds while being fully focused. That is 20 seconds of downtime from the objective, and they could not third party my team while engaged with me, allowing my team to obtain more objective score overall. One final scenario using the limit break as a counter push. We are holding the large ice with a decent lead. In this scenario, you need to be ready for enemy pushes. In this case, yellow make their play, in which I begin by holding back. What I am doing is avoiding the initial burst damage. Once I see their team begin to hesitate and fall back into the choke, now is your time to strike. Use that limit break immortality and the tight choke point to run down the enemy team. I also use guard on my approach solely to bait out crowd controls. Then using Icarus to move up, I firmly place myself amidst their team, standing there for a short period of time, while much of the damage flies my way, before using Icarus once again to jump further out, leaving the adders scattered. and placing us one large ice away from victory. Here are the 3 macros that I created, that I use all the time to improve the playstyle of the Sage. First is my Icarus Dash to focus target, ideal when playing with friends, and useful when playing solo, to instantly jump to Dark Knights, and other strong roles who dive in for your team. Next are my 2 limit break macros. The top one is to again target your focus target, dropping the limit break right at their feet, while the second one will also drop the limit break at your own feet. These remove the need to manually place the limit break, which can sometimes get you killed before you get a chance to place the ult. For your strengths, as I have mentioned, you are very anti-ranged meta, which your tanks and melee will thank you for. You can control the flow and pace of teamfights, with your limit break being one of the most versatile in all of PvP. Usable in every scenario. Used well, a single good Sage can fully counter large pre-made teams. You have great movement, having 2 charges of your Icarus Dash. Using Cardia on yourself allows for extra healing, and allows you to bait yourself to proc Toxicon 2. You have strong instant AoE damage, which at the very least secures assists, building for faster battle highs. Your ability to survive rivals Paladins, Ninjas, and Vipers. While tough to learn, with enough time and practice, you become one of the most valued team members, and is a solid pick for those of you who always play solo. Your limit break's biggest weakness are both knockbacks and Dark Knight's Salted Earth. If you limit break too early before the pull, you might be pulled out. It is better to use your limit break right after the Salted Earth pull. To hit your biggest burst combos, you first need to dive your targets to be within the 5 yarm radius in order to access your psyche. And your biggest threat out there are the monks, who have been recently buffed, meaning there are more and more running around every game. Their knockback limit break combo can often mean an instant KO, and you will have matches where your team do not understand what your limit break does, leaving you alone there as they flee in terror. With no alliance members willing to take fights, it comes down to using yourself as the Cardia target to proc your Toxicon 2. I won't cover more scenarios in this video, as much of the Sage's playstyle comes down to common sense and good positioning. If you would like to see more scenarios, check out my Sage-dominated PvP video, in which I cover the plays during a solo match. And last up is a round of the Seal Rock. Playing solo in a rather casual match, we secure a rather nice win that showcases the key moments of the Sage. Thank you all for tuning in, and thank you all for the continued support. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you all in the next one.